What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and today I just finished recording Allen Robinson and Norwell, and then out of nowhere, Case Keenum has signed with the Denver Broncos. It's now, maybe that sets the market. Just one team that you can cross off the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes. I mean, a lot of people think it's going to the Vikings. I'm not going to make an official Viking video because you never know. Maybe the Cardinals, maybe the Jets back the truck up, and there you go. But this year, I'm going to more so talk about the implications for the Philadelphia Eagles. But if you're talking as a Denver Broncos fan, I mean, I'm not really that pleased. I think we saw with Case Keenum, like when you compare the Denver Broncos to the Minnesota Vikings, Case Keenum is like a shittier Nick Foles, which is not a big dig at him. Like ultimately, I think Case Keenum showed last year with the Minnesota Vikings, if he's on a good team, he can kind of manage his way to the playoffs. And if you're the Denver Broncos, you're just saying, our defense is good, even though we lost to Talib and stuff like that. Our defense is good enough that if we get in the playoffs, we have a chance to win with that defense. So maybe that's what they viewed this as. Probably a low risk. I would imagine Case Keenum, there's no words on his contract yet. Probably nothing too crazy. But he probably got paid. He probably, he earned it. He got to the playoffs, got to the NFC Championship. But when you look at this, it definitely sets the market here for Kirk Cousins a little bit. Because, I mean, Case Keenum's contract was never going to affect Kirk Cousins. And I think maybe that's what the Broncos thought. Maybe the Broncos, because Elway, you saw it with Brock Osweiler, pretty, stiff on the contracts. So maybe he said, let's sign Case Keenum now before Kirk Cousins resets the market, and maybe we'll save a couple $1 million because we were never going to get Kirk Cousins in the first place. So from that standpoint, it's probably kind of smart. I mean, there's weapons there. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders. Looks like C.J. Anderson's going to stay there. They fix up the offensive line a little bit. Their offense is going to be solid. It's going to be a solid offense, but they're always going to rely on the defense, which is, kind of, how Case Keenum found his success with the Minnesota Vikings. So not only outside of the Denver Broncos apparently going with Case Keenum, which is, in the same mold of a Trevor Siemian, but a little bit better. It sets the market for Kirk Cousins. This is now kind of coming back to me as an Eagle fan, talking about Nick Foles. Because with Nick Foles, I thought the Vikings or the Broncos were going to be the teams that should target Nick Foles. And ultimately, I thought it was going to be the team that didn't get Kirk Cousins of those two. So it looks like right now that Kirk Cousins is going to the Minnesota Vikings. And now with Denver Broncos getting Case Keenum, that means probably Philly's going to be stuck on the outside looking in with Nick Foles. It didn't seem a lot of teams were going to meet their evaluation of a first-round pick at least, plus maybe a player or a future pick. And for me, ultimately, I'm happy. When I look at all the deals right now, if you're told me before this season or the free agency season started that the Philadelphia Eagles would trade Nick Foles for a first-round pick, I'd be kind of skeptical, to be honest with you. I think I would hold on to Nick Foles. I'd rather hold on to Nick Foles because when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, we don't have a second or third-round pick, right? But we have pick 32, which is going to be awesome to say in Dallas and announce to everyone there in Dallas. Hopefully it's Brian Dawkins that the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl champions are picking at pick 32, select, yada, yada, yada. Hopefully, maybe Leighton Vander Esch or something like that. But we also have Sidney Jones, who basically redshirted last year, played Week 17. If he declared this year, he had a really bad injury, tore his Achilles, I believe it was, which is an injury I had in high school, and it absolutely sucked. But all reports, he's back to 100%, the same type of player. And if he was declaring this year, he would be undoubtedly the #1 corner. He is better than, or coming out from Washington, his tape, his athletic ability is better than Denzel Ward or Josh Jackson. He would have been the #1 corner. Would have been a top 10 pick. And that's the way you got to look at it if you're a Philadelphia Eagle fan, is we have 2 first-round picks. You might not have a second or third-round pick this year yet, but we have 2 first-round picks. Do we need a third for Nick Foles? Do we need a third first-round pick to give up the greatest insurance policy in sports? Do we need a third first-round pick to gamble on Carson Wentz not being ready week 1? Or would you rather have Nick Foles on the roster? Maybe he has to play a week or 2. Maybe he plays a week or 2. Maybe even 3. Maybe even 3 weeks. I think anything over 3 might be pushing a little bit. Have him play 3 weeks. Hell, if he still looks good in the offense, looks like he did down the stretch, which, I mean, by all expectations he should, then you start looking at what happened with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think if Philly waits, they're going to be able to get a second. But if Tyrod Taylor is going for a third-round pick, I think if you told me as Eagles, we could have our insurance policy until Carson Wentz is healthy, and then we flip Nick Foles for a third-round pick in the 2019 draft. That is my ideal scenario versus getting an additional first-rounder this year. And hell, you might even get more value if you wait to before the trade deadline, because there you might have a team that had a starter that got hurt, and they say, what if, let's just say, I don't know a team off the top of my head, but let's just say a team that's a quarterback away. We'll throw out the Jacksonville Jaguars. They don't draft a quarterback. They have Blake Bortles. He goes down, right? He goes down. Then obviously, they need a quarterback. Nick Foles is there available for trade. They may flip. You may still get your first-round pick. Something like that. So, teams might become more desperate the longer that they wait. And we're in Philadelphia. We're holding the cards, man. We're holding all of the cards. So I think ultimately if the market's closing up for Nick Foles, I'd rather him be on the roster than just a first. Because obviously my demands, I wanted multiple firsts or a first and a player. It's not going to happen. So that's what I take from the Kirk Cousins signing with the Denver Broncos. Let me know what you feel about it. If you're a Broncos fan, I really want to hear your opinion because I seem like you're probably going to be a little bit upset about this one. But if he's a bridge quarterback and it means you're going to draft a quarterback at 5, get a Josh Allen, a Baker Mayfield, something like that, I mean, does it make you happy? Long-term gain over short-term need? Let me know what you feel about that. And Eagles fans, Nick Foles market's closing up. What would you do with Nick Foles at this given point? Let me know. As always, if it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit the subscribe button. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.